you said that you told your boyfriend that you were dating that you weren't willing to have sex with him unless you were married first. And that's now your current husband. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you guys didn't have sex until you got married.
Correct.
So how long had you guys been dating?
Our first official date was October 25th, 2008.
Okay.
But we were talking to each other through MySpace.
Before that.
And on the phone quite a bit.
In
I saw him play
2007,
his guitar for the first time February 2nd, 2008.
That's so
and
cute.
then, I know, I remember all the dates.
Yeah, when did y'all get married?
And then he asked me to marry him on February 14th, Valentine's Day the next year. But he was
so cute.
I love it.
He was driving back and forth from California to Las Vegas because I was living in Vegas and I was the Destiny House mom. I was living there taking care of the beautiful ladies and their babies. And we were dating during that time. So he got to see me be a mom to these beautiful children of these beautiful ladies that I was helping. And then when we got married, it was like the tip of the iceberg. We decided to do this, but when I first met him the first night, I had a ring on, replacing this one, obviously. It said on it, "True Love Waits Around the Band." And I put it in his face and I said, "I just want you to know that I, even though you've read my story, am not easy for you. You're not going to get what you want from me at all. I want everything, and if you don't want that, our relationship is off the table."
That's right.
Wait,
Make
so-
him pay in loyalty.
Yeah, I didn't want to be with him unless...
Literally
But
teary-eyed.
you said, so you said previously you said your body count was like 30,000
Yeah.
plus.
Yeah.
But your husband, he had to wait until marriage?
Yes. I know. He's
That's
a very,
cool.
very patient
But
soul.
she was also in a different state. You have
I
to
was.
understand. She was in a just completely.
a-
Oh, don't you dare!
Oh my goodness.
Listen,
She
that
was in a
is...
different state. She was in a
brought him-
different space.
No,
mentally.
sure. I get it. It just.
Women can understand their value. I didn't understand my value until after sex work. I didn't understand my standards until after sex work. You know what I mean? When you're in it, sometimes it's easy to get lost in the sauce.
I don't know. I almost feel like sex work has
That is
given
just my
me
personal
higher.
experience.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
everyone's
My personal
personal.
experience.
Right.
And
Because
that's
we
why
don't want
it's
to...
harder to. I'm not just going to settle with anybody. People are constantly, "Hey, would you consider dating?" You know,
Oh,
and I
please,
will. You know, but
The standard is so
It's gotta
incredibly
feel
high.
right.
Really high.
And
I mean,
having-
I appreciate where you were saying that you're so picky about who do you want to be with long term, because it is so much better to be picky and to have 10, 15, 20 first dates and realize right then and there that person's not a good fit for you. And find that out from the get-go, then to start pursuing all of these relationships that are only going to end in a whole bunch of hurt feelings and not a lot of good quality connection.
we learn more about ourselves as we date others.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
interact
that's
with
in general.
others.
That's just humans in general.
Yeah, it's a good learning opportunity.
Modest Hikima donated $100. Q for Ed push in Hammurabi Code, which also supports slavery. What happens when the goats die in 15 years? Do you harvest and collect all resources? Children better investment since meaningful. 2L8.
That's a lot of good meat. If they die.
Yeah.
Well,
All I'm
you
saying.
can't-
As a
I do like
hunter,
lamb.
I'm like, oh, that's some good stuff.
Is
I
meat
like lamb.
old age?
like an old
Old's not very good.
I mean,
it's
I'm
probably a
not
little tougher, but
raising meat animals. I'm raising fiber goats and dairy goats, so it's like milk and hair.
Jeez.
So it's
Wow.
like you shear them kind of like you shear sheep. So I mean, you don't really eat dairy goats that
No,
you
yeah,
can't
yeah.
get milk from them.
yeah.
But
Well,
I mean,
eventually they're gonna die.
yeah, I mean, all things.
You said that
All
the most
things-
happy way possible.
All things die. I mean, like again, it would really depend.
Continue.
We don't need to linger too long on the goats or whatever.
It was
the
more
fuck.
of a
Thank
joke
God.
than anything.
Ridiculous.
Just on Annie's thing. I mean, I certainly think it's good that you chose to start moving differently in your life, but just like from a dating perspective, if I, for example, and I know you're kind of an outlier in the sense that you've had, like, you know, your body count you said was over 30,000. But if I was interacting with a woman and she told me, well, I had previously hooked up with 20 guys and I hooked up with them on the first night, but now for you, I want to wait until marriage. First off, I would just say, of course, it's 100% her call. Like, if she wants to wait, that's her call. But I feel men in general are within their right to some degree feel like that's kind of, you're getting different treatment, and if your husband was cool with it, that's totally cool, respect it. But me personally, I think a lot of men would feel in that situation like that we were getting treated with two different standards.
It's not fair, right?
It feels a little unfair, like, because I've heard this from a lot of women. It's like, well, the jerks, the fuck boys, I don't really care about them, so I'll just fuck them right away. But the guy I actually want to pursue for a relationship, that's the guy you make wait. And logically, it would occur to me that wouldn't you want to almost reward the guy that you actually care about and want a long-term relationship with, instead of withholding sex and using it as a sort of negotiating tool to some degree?
I psychological reason behind that.
Yeah,
I mean,
I did, and
an
I stopped
interesting
myself.
perspective.
I wanted him to elope with me
Sure.
and not tell anyone because I was so horny. I'm just being honest. And I wanted to feel his love for me also in that respect, because
Right.
when I wanted to feel sex as a love move instead of a body move. Like it was really a soulful thing to do, 100% of me with him.
Yeah.
And the only way I could do that was to stop myself from possibly treating him like an object.
Wow. Wow.
Because I had done it for so long.
That was good.
I had done it for so long. Every man was an object to me. I had switched it so much to where I was in such the power seat that now I had it so twisted that I was a princess, queen, not the other way around, right?
Sure.
So
putting
a value on myself in that respect helped me heal on a better level, and to see him accept that and say, I can F with her, okay? Because that girl knows who she is.
Yeah.
And that makes me, he was very turned on by that, actually.
Yeah, and
he told me.
That is kind
Sure,
of
and I think I do.
He didn't say the F word, by the way. I said that.
Yeah, and I do think women are in this sort of damned if you do, damned if you don't position where, on one hand, let's say you acknowledge like, oh yeah, I've previously, like, I just hooked up with guys too quickly. I want to change how I move when it comes to relationships. Like, it's tough because obviously it's like, well, it's like, what do you expect, Brian? Do you expect women to just, fuck.
Grid One Motorsports donated $100. As an old retired dude, I can only say I am so glad I never had to spend 4 hours
Grid One, thank you.
justifying my chosen career and trying to feel better about myself. My magnum opus is being a faithful husband.
Yeah, thank you.
I like that.
Thank you,
Beautiful.
Grid One.
That's nice.
Thank you, Grid
I like
One.
that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's like, well, if you're choosing to move in a different way, like, yeah, that's probably better than continuing to just engage in casual sex or the hookup culture. But if I encountered a woman who's like, yeah, the last 20 guys I hooked up with, it was all the first night, but now I've come along, now I want to wait till marriage, I'd feel kind of like,
duped.
again, it's her call. Like, I'm not going to like try to,
So how hard would your love pursuit be then?
how long would my what?
How hard would your love pursuit be?
How deep is your love?
How do yeah. That's
One of my
a good
favorite
question.
songs too. I love
No,
it.
I don't
Alice.
know.
Thank
It's
you.
just like, I would feel like it's a bit of fraud. A little fraud.
I
It's just
don't
not
have
the
that
girl
good of
with
self. You have
fraudulent.
good self
She's being
control.
super
I don't have that good of
upfront.
self
No,
control.
not with
no,
you,
not
like-
with Annie. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
no,
she
I
is.
know what he's-
Yeah. I think you have like you processed through all of, like, you've been processing through all of what you've done in your life.
Yeah.
And it's been a struggle, obviously, but it has brought you closer. It's brought you closer to the Lord. So like that's,
Jesus was my first love, by the
exactly.
way.
Which
Mason,
is
I'm not
perfect.
kidding you. I
Yeah,
fell
yeah.
in love with him first.
I think that's
to realize
essential.
how a man was supposed to treat me.
I think that's essential. Yeah.
So that was
I
my model.
commend you for
He
that.
was my model.
Valid.
Yeah, that is 100% valid. So
I will, yeah.
yeah, I think it's important that. Oh gosh, what was the point I was going to make?
I can come in.
Go for it.
I can come in. So when it comes to being fraud, and we've previously reacted. Here's where it's like perhaps an issue. If a girl is making you wait, but like all the while she has a friends with benefits, but she's making you wait, I think that's 100% a fraud. That's a fraud. And so I guess the whole point, and I've written this down just so I can be concise. So the whole point of a woman having a waiting period before she has sex is supposed to be due to her not being someone that gives away sex so easily. So having a man wait implies I'm not easy to get into bed. But for a woman like who might have a friends with benefits while she's making you wait. It just means I'm going to make you wait an arbitrary amount of time because I want to give you the impression that I'm not quick to give out sex, but in actuality I am, just not for you.
Gotcha. When that's happening concurrently.
There's a psychological reason
wanting,
behind that.
and so wanting to build something slowly is pointless if the woman is willing to give out sex to another man who did not need to give her commitment. So it just kind of shows that I think it shows that she thinks very little of the man she wants to make wait.
I can agree with that.
Little of herself.
That's right.
Well, I mean, really, it's like putting up fake barriers in the same way that you're saying that there's like a psychological reason behind why someone is choosing to respond in that way. It's that she's tricked herself into believing that, oh, if I withhold this from him, it's somehow going to mean that he's going to want me more or desire me more,
I
that he's
think it's
somehow going to be
that.
more committed to me.
We should get, is your husband?
It's vulnerable.
He's in the parking lot.
Maybe we should, you think he might be?
He would love to.
Oh,
Let me
yeah.
Well, not quite. I just want to make sure we can get through everything, and if time permitting, maybe we can.
He'll explain.
That could be. Wait, let me ask the chat. Let me ask the chat what they think. Nick, if you can pull up the chat. Chat. So her husband is downstairs. We could have him up in the studio within a couple minutes. Would you guys be interested in hearing from her husband? That could be pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah.